Okay, we've got a lot to talk about with UFOs today, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. By the way, I used a lower volume intro today. Some people had complained that the intro was too loud, so I reduced the volume. Let me know if the volume is at the right spot at the moment. Okay, let's get into it. Anna Paulina Luna, still talking about her her tweet about the big event coming, or the big announcement coming. This is, from the Benny show. Okay, here we go.
Press conference to be announced soon. Everyone's wondering if it's aliens, but maybe it goes even deeper than that. Congresswoman, can you tell us?
I think it's bigger than that.
Okay, so she laughs and then she says it's bigger than that. And then she goes on to talk about how it has something to do with government transparency. So I don't know, guys. Government transparency plus Jerry Moskowitz knowing about it, maybe being involved in it to some degree, might hint at something UAP related. But at the same time, she's kind of laughing and saying it's bigger than that, bigger than aliens or NHI. Or maybe she's laughing at the idea that it's just aliens, and she's embracing the idea of NHI, other dimensional beings, ultra-terrestrials, whatever these things might be, or all of the above. So, but it may not be NHI related after all, because she is kind of laughing and saying it's bigger than that, or bigger than aliens. Anyway, still too early to tell. We'll see where things wind up. Meanwhile, it turns out, now we know that the FBI has their own UFO program. And Ryan Graves has been speaking about this. Others have been speaking about this. Let's give a listen to what the news is reporting on this.
For the first time ever, details coming to light about a secret FBI working group that allegedly investigates unidentified aerial phenomena, or also known as UAPs, UFOs. It's the first time that the group has ever been publicly disclosed, according to Politico. That claim coming from former Navy pilot Ryan Graves. If you remember, he was the first active duty pilot to come forward about regular sightings of UAPs. We heard his whistleblower testimony in front of Congress last year. Graves says the FBI working group is made up of more than a dozen staff who, quote, spend much of their time tracking down UAPs. I now want to bring in Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan talks for several minutes. I don't have time to get into all of his comments, but I'll go to his tweet. Over the past year and a half, ASA has been working with a small team at the FBI called the UAP Working Group to investigate credible reports of UAP by trained observers like pilots and veterans to assist in the FBI's investigation into national security and aviation safety risks posed by unidentified objects. Witnesses who come to ASA always decide how their case is handled, but many want their reports investigated by the FBI's UAP Working Group. I am heartened to see that the Trump administration is shaping up to be the most pro-UAP administration in history, and I do not want to lose momentum on this critical work to solve the mystery of UAP. Let's identify what's in our skies and let the public see the X-Files for themselves. I love it. And he, retweets this from Daniel Littman, Scoop FBI agents who are part of a secretive FBI group investigating the surge of UAP are worried that they could lose their jobs in a possible FBI January 6th purge. 4 people familiar with the matter told me, and told Daniel Littman. So, there you go. Possibly, they'll be purged out. We'll see how that goes. But at the same time, Ryan Graves is seeing that the Trump administration is pro-UFO disclosure. I hope that's true. I certainly wasn't encouraged by the announcement on the mystery drones, but there's definitely a lot of pro-UFO people and pro-transparency people in that crowd. So fingers crossed for the best on that. As far as the FBI having their own UFO group going, I think they probably have for a long time, and stuff that we don't even know about. I can only speak from my own personal experience when my then MUFON group was investigating the cattle mutilations in our area. the Madisonville County cattle mutilations. Well, there were 6 or 7 that were publicly talked about and that known about. But when we started investigating the cattle mutilations in Madison County in Texas, and it actually went beyond Madison County, we actually found that there were upwards of 40 cattle mutilations, and that this was being silenced by the FBI. The FBI had come and done their own investigation, and they had shut all the ranchers up, saying it's an ongoing investigation, and the ranchers weren't allowed to talk to us or anybody else about it, and no new details got out. We still don't know the details of that. They still haven't revealed the results of that investigation. Where are the results of that investigation, FBI? The FBI has been covering up UFO stuff and cattle mutilation stuff, God knows how long. It's probably not a coincidence that the men in black co-opted the look of FBI field agents, special agents. So, but now we have one acknowledged UFO group within the FBI, and that's really interesting, and I hope we find out more about it. Meanwhile, there's stuff going on with the mystery drones. Oh, but first I wanted to get to this. This is cool. The angel hair that UFOs sometimes leave, especially historically. Decades ago, it was a real phenomenon when the UFOs would touch down. They would leave this phenomenon of angel hair. Well, apparently somebody found some old angel hair, and they're going to try to investigate it. They're going to try to analyze it. This is coming from Mark by the Sky, KGRA UAP reporter working with Gonzalo Chavez during a visit to the new I'm not even going to try to say that. Gonzalo Chavez helped me acquire a 57-year-old sample of angel hair from a Capro UFO case. The sample is as rare as it gets. What tests should we run, and who should help us with them? A DM or reply with suggestions. So yeah, there's a picture of this angel hair, supposedly from this UFO. This really interesting phenomenon of UFOs. And if you don't know what angel hair is, I recommend you check that out and look that up. Really interesting phenomenon. Gonzalo's adds, the angel hair case that Mark by the Sky and I came across while going through the cabinets and folders at Newfork. Okay, there you are, Newfork. We both agree that it looks like string, but the analysis conducted on the material in 1968 makes it interesting. Now in 2025, we have the opportunity to either confirm or debunk it with modern testing. I can't wait to see what they discover. Meanwhile, New Jersey lawmaker slams Trump administration over scripted drone non-answer. Assemblyman Brian Bergen is demanding clear answers from the Trump administration after officials attributed a wave of drone sightings along the East Coast to government-approved research flights. The explanation stated that the mystery drones were authorized by the FAA for research and recreational use. I don't know if it said recreational, but Bergen, the assemblyman, dismissed the response as a scripted non-answer. Every aircraft in the sky is authorized to be there by the FAA. That's not news, Bergen said. This caused so much chaos. The Trump administration's response, honestly, it's not good enough for anybody, including me. And it's worth noting that Brian Bergen is a Republican like Trump. The drones were first spotted, and then it goes into a history of the drones. But yeah, I love that people are pushing back on the clear BS that came out from the White House about the mystery drones. I know the incoming administration has a lot of plates spinning right now, but no reason to put out BS statements that are just clearly easily debunkable. They're not FAA approved vehicles that were forcing, activities at Wright-Patterson to shut down. They were shutting down multiple civilian airports, including airports, by the way, in China. This is a global phenomenon. Good that people are talking about this. Chris Sharp is talking about the drones in Lakenheath. The drones were flying in with no lights. When they were close to the site, they were turning on the lights, going, "Here I am." And as far as I know, not one piece of our equipment could bring it down or spot it, the source said. Yeah, they were trying to bring these things down, and they couldn't bring them down. FAA approved in Lakenheath in the UK. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Ross Coulthart says if these UK drone incursions are not a national security concern or anomalous, why would it jeopardize international relations to reveal what Australia was briefed about? The UK Royal Air Force Base purported drone incursions. I think I botched that a little bit. But he's referring to this post by Grant Levac. Australian DoD documents pertaining to the mysterious drone incursions over Royal Air Force Base Middenhall, Lakenheath, and Feltwell in the UK have been refused for release through FOIA due to national security and potential damage to international relations. What? Well, how does that make any sense? And yeah, you can see the request for the information. And the denial is the documents affecting national security, defense, or international relations. That was the reason for the denial of this FOIA request, was because it might affect national security or defense or international relations. So, yeah, Ross Coulthart replied, getting back to his comment in context now, if these UK drone incursions are not a national security concern or anomalous, why would it jeopardize international relations to reveal what Australia was briefed about? Yeah, great question, Ross. Great question. Clearly, these are anomalous, and they just don't want to tell us. And maybe they don't want to tell us because that would be opening a can of worms that they are not prepared to get into. And that kind of makes me wonder about, the Trump information about the FAA approval and all of that. We've heard from various people, including Ross and Dana Sheehan and Steve Bassett, people that are not necessarily on Trump's political side, who believe that he is pro-UFO disclosure, or at least his administration will ultimately be pro-disclosure. So could they be getting their ducks in a row before they come out with some limited version of the truth, some limited form of UFO disclosure that doesn't open the entire can of worms? I think that's a can that needs to be opened fully. We need sunlight on all of this. Ultimately, we need oversight of these black programs that are doing God knows what. And we do know some of what they're doing, and a lot of it isn't great. They need oversight. The public needs to have some input into this most vital thing. But on the other hand, maybe you can peel that can a little slowly. Once you start getting into abductions and stuff, that's going to freak people the hell out. And I can understand why you might want to reveal that, bit by bit. I've heard, talk of a 7-year disclosure plan. Not totally unreasonable to have something like that, but we need to get this process started. So what do you think? Will the new administration be more transparent in the days ahead? Does the Paulina Luna announcement have anything to do with that? Or is that something else altogether? She's talking about government transparency, even if it has nothing specifically to do with UFOs, even if it's just some mechanism for making their government more transparent. Hey, that would help, right? Meanwhile, if you saw my interview with Jaime Maussan and you were wondering about that Siberian being that I was talking about, well, this is it. This is the video of this supposed body found in Siberia. And analysis of this being shows it's got little holes on the side of its head, and that might be comparable to the holes found on the side of the little Nazca mummies, the egg-laying beings. So is this thing related in any way? There was a debunking of this. The people that originally posted this ultimately posted a debunking showing a being made out of chicken skin and toothpicks and stuff. But, again, careful analysis of that shows that object was different than this object. those people may have been gotten to or forced to recant and release a bogus debunking. And this might possibly be a real being here, kind of grisly there, but a real being, and it might be related to the Nazca mummies. Meanwhile, what do these depictions mean? There's really intriguing depictions found in Egypt and in Mexico that are shockingly similar, showing this man, this human-looking individual. In Mexico, he's holding a handbag of the gods, it looks like. Hard to tell what the guy in Egypt is doing, but they are both in this machine or room or cockpit or whatever it is that is formed of a serpent. A very specific image of a guy sitting in a cockpit or something. Maybe a temple, who knows what it is, that is formed of a serpent. And in the case in Mexico, at least, he's holding a handbag of the gods. These handbag images that are found around the world definitely seems to indicate to me, one more evidence of a vanished, lost civilization that spread elements of its knowledge and its culture around the world. Meanwhile, what happened when Dr. Eric Davis told Dr. Shankar Patrick, the lovely Shankar Patrick, former director of Arrow, that he had been working with OSAP back when Lockheed Martin was trying to divest itself of that egg-shaped UFO before the CIA got involved and nixed it. Here is what Eric had to say.
The UAP. I basically briefed them on my interaction with the legacy aerospace companies during the OSAP, when Hal Puthoff and I worked under contract to Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies to carry out the OSAP tasking. And one of my jobs was to interface with one legacy aerospace corporation and its senior vice president at one of its major divisions, who worked on the crash retrieval program during the 1970s and 80s. And so I briefed all that to Sean Kirkpatrick personally and his deputy, who was a Army lieutenant colonel in the reserve. And I briefed all that information, all of my investigations into TRW and the other companies that I investigated. And so Arrow had all that information, but I do know for a fact by talking to the security officers at the agencies I told them that I had interfaced with, the intelligence agencies that I was interfacing with regarding these topics. On behalf of the DIA, the security people said there was no record of Sean Kirkpatrick even contacting them about my presence at those buildings.
He goes on to reiterate that Kirkpatrick never followed up on any of this, never contacted any of these people. Arrow did not seem interested in investigating any of these claims, which is very similar to what we know about the Jake Barber information, where, he also gave his information to them and they lost it, right? Kind of like when you give a giant to the Smithsonian and they lose it, which happened more often than you would think. So yeah, really interesting, not surprising. I'm wondering if he's had any involvement with Kozlowski and if maybe things would go better with Kozlowski. I know a lot of people are optimistic about the new director of Arrow, Kozlowski, and maybe he would be better than Kirkpatrick. I mean, he can't be any worse. I'm not expecting anything great from him. He hasn't, shown anything that encourages me. But what do you guys think? Are you more encouraged under Kozlowski, and are you surprised about Eric Davis talking to Sean Kirkpatrick about this very interesting thing? Kona Blue, OSAP trying to acquire a UFO, and Sean Kirkpatrick didn't follow it up at all. Meanwhile, is this a manifestation of the Holy Spirit, or is this just a camera playing a trick? This is from Nicola 3. The man who recorded this with his phone did not notice anything unusual in his church. It wasn't until he returned home and took his phone. It wasn't until he got home and looked at his video that he saw what we're about to see here. Look at this. You see this bright light just emanating from the priest Now, is that just, again, is that just the camera, doing something funky as cameras do? Or is that something really unusual and interesting and beautiful going on here? Beyond just the lovely ceremony itself, I'm sure. Yeah, what do you think this is? This is just really cool. Yeah, I'd love for this to be true. If this was, really a spiritual event caught on camera, that'd be amazing. But he could be wearing something shiny on, his chest that's catching the light in an interesting way. But I just thought that was really cool, guys. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Last but not least, when a big kitty meets an even bigger kitty. Okay, well, let's see what happens here. He's a pretty big fella. Is that like a jaguar? What is that? A leopard? Snow leopard? Look at that. Look at the expression on that guy's face. He's the boss, and he knows it. And he's not, and he knows it. Oof. Yeah, you don't want to be on the wrong end of that glare. Yeah, I think he's thinking the same thing. Yeah. Good call, man. Good call, my friend. Good call. Let me know what you think about this good call and everything else covered today in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Occasionally Discord. I got to update that thing every week. It's frustrating. If you guys know how to do a permalink Discord, let me know. Buy a t-shirt, become a channel member to support the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate your support. Also, frequently they get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.